What a great weekend. Round 25 of the 2021 NRL season, the final round, starts this Thursday from BB Prince Stadium in Mackay. Canberra host Easts. In the two matches that have taken place up at BB Prince Stadium this year, Roosters and Raiders are the two clubs that walked away with the 2 competition points. So it's the battle of BB Prince Stadium between these two sides. I'm joking. In all seriousness, this is one of the biggest games of the round. Raiders sit in 9th position, and even if they win, they're not guaranteed finals footy. They have a seriously nervous wait. And for the Roosters, they have a chance of nabbing 4th position. However, with yet another injury to add to their casualty ward in the form of Joseph Manu, who has been their Tetris player all year. The Raiders, for as nervous and as poor as they were in the first half an hour, or even in the entire first half last week against the Warriors, they did look like a finals-like team, in my opinion, in the second half. Ever since 2019, even in 2018, Raiders and Roosters seemed to play some emotionally fueled close games. And whilst this year at Gosford earlier in the year was different, this is back to formula. This will be a very close contest. Oh, and P.S. Josh Morris has been named in with jersey number 3 on his back to play his last ever game. Angus Crichton returns from suspension. Jared Warrior-Hargreaves is back in the side. Adam Kieran is also back in the squad too. I think I'm going to change my tip. I think Roosters look stronger now with all these ins. I'm going to tip Roosters to beat the Raiders on Thursday. Oh. And in the first game of a doubleheader at Cbus Super Stadium on the Gold Coast, in what may be the most crucial contest of the round, Cronulla Sharks host the Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm, holy crap! What an upset that was on Saturday night. I definitely didn't tip Parramatta. As far as team list news goes, the only change for the Cronulla Sharks is that Matt Moylan finds himself in the starting side and Luke Metcalf finds himself on the bench. And as for the Melbourne Storm, 6 are out effectively and 6 are in, so it's just all over the shop. Nelson Asofa-Solomona and Dale Finucane are back in the squad, so it makes them look a little bit bigger, but at the same time they lose both of the Bromwich brothers. They lose Tom Eisenhuth, Christian Welch and Kafusi. So they lose some big bodies, they gain some big bodies. Cameron Munster is being rested as well, and Josh Adokar did a hammy, and he may miss week 1 of the semi-finals as well. They are definitely under strength, Melbourne Storm, and that's the way that they wanted it to happen. Whether or not the Cronulla Sharks can take advantage of it, I don't know. Earlier in the season, they were up at halftime against Melbourne in Melbourne, and then they eventually got pumped by the Storm by about 40 points to 12 or something of that nature. Cronulla Sharks, man, if they win, they're in. They get rid of the Raiders. The Titans' faint final hopes are gone. The Cronulla Sharks are the key to everything. And looking at these team lists, you still got Pappenhausen at fullback. Hines and Jerome Hughes and Brandon Smith are still your spine. That's still such a strong spine. Maybe there's just a bit too much to play for the Cronulla Sharks, but in saying that, can the Melbourne Storm, do they want to get up and win yet another minor premiership? Such a massive game of footy. And they weren't terribly convincing last week, the Cronulla Sharks. You know what? I'm going to tip an upset. I'm going to tip the Melbourne Storm. I think Hines and Hughes have been their standout players all year. You get Nelson Asofa-Solomona back. He may be a bit underdone, but Dale Finucane is still floating around. Justin Olam is still thereabouts. It's going to be a cracking game, that's for sure. But I'm going to tip the Melbourne Storm to win 1-12. And the second game of the doubleheader on Friday night from Seabuy Super Stadium is the Western Sydney Derby, Parramatta Eels versus the Penrith Panthers. I'm stunned at Penrith's team selection. They're going in at full strength. Nathan Cleary, Luai, everyone has been named. For the Parramatta Eels, that's where all the team news comes from in this match. So Opacek, he's in for Will Penasini. Will Smith and Jacob Arthur are the halves pairings, whilst Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses gets the rest. Niakuri is suspended, I think, actually, and so is Junior Paulo. There's changes aplenty. Hayes Perham, he's the fullback for the Parramatta Eels this weekend, whilst Gutherson will be rested. I'm kind of stunned that both these sides, I thought it would have been the other way around. Parramatta full strength, Penrith not so. I'm going to tip the Penrith Panthers to win by 13 plus, unfortunately, you Eels fans. Game 1 of Super Saturday is from Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, and the Broncos host the Knights. It was only just a few weeks ago these two sides clashed, and it was a close encounter. Brisbane had their opportunities, but Knights ran away with it in the end. And I'm kind of stunned at Newcastle's team selection as well. Clifford, Ponga, Pearce, they're all been named to play. The only players that they will be resting is Jaden Brayley and Mitch Barnett. But this game for me is all about Alex Glenn. He's a club legend. Anthony Milford plays his last games for the Broncos as well, but it's all about Alex Glenn, and this is another upset I'm going to lean towards too. I think Knights are going to find themselves not really up for it. I think they're not going to be desperate enough for the 2 points, and they might play within themselves, might have that protective shell over them, whilst the Broncos, in my opinion, they've been one of the better performing sides in the lower half of the competition for weeks now, and they're going to come out ready, knowing that they can beat Newcastle, and can they? I'm going to say yes. Brisbane Broncos to beat the Knights 1-12. And for the final time this year, I cheer on my Cowboys. North Queensland host the Manly Sea Eagles from QCB Stadium. If Roosters do win, it means that Manly will go with the full strength squad that they have selected. If Roosters don't win against the Raiders, I tend to suggest that mad scientist Des will rest Turbo and maybe another player or two. But getting into the crux of it, Cowboys only have 1-2 changes. Cohen Hess comes in after a week off, and he finds himself with jersey 8 on his back, and that pushes Tamalolo back to his lock position. It's Ruben Cotter that's missing, unfortunately. He did a minor shoulder injury, and that's him done for 2021. For the Manly Sea Eagles, they have Taniela Paseka back in, and Sean Kepi. Those are massive ins. And again, if Roosters lose, I don't know, I think Manly might rest a couple of players. So watch this space. I'm going to tip the Cowboys to win 1-12. I've backed them all year. I'll never back against them. But if Manly are coming up with a full strength side, batten down the hatches. And the final game of Super Saturday is from Sunshine Coast Stadium. South Sydney Rabbitohs host the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Just putting it out there, St. George Illawarra Dragons are pretty much unchanged. The only change there is that Beale comes in for Zach Lomax. Meanwhile, South Sydney, they've just turned everything upside down and shaken it out of the bucket. Benji Marshall and Lachlan Ilias are the halves pairings. Latrell Mitchell's season is done, and that Blake Taff is in at fullback. Cameron Murray, Damien Cook, Dane Gagai, Jai Arrow, they're all out for South Sydney. And for me, this is going to lean towards another upset, and it's going to be the Dragons who's going to get the victory against the South Sydney Rabbitohs up there on the Sunshine Coast on Saturday night. Sunday Ticket features 2 games, and game number 1 is from Seabuy Super Stadium. The home side, the Gold Coast, host the New Zealand Warriors. Warriors don't mind travelling up to Seabuy Super Stadium. They have a great record against the Titans over recent years. For the Titans, really the only news there, and it's big, Anthony Don has been named with jersey 21 on his back. I say, Philip Sammy, get out, give Anthony Don one last game. And the Titans, look, if Raiders and Sharks lose, and the Titans can win by about 24 points or more, they can nab 8th position. And the way I've tipped, you tend to suggest that the Titans are still a chance of achieving that. So it's still a big game for the New Zealand Warriors. Sean O'Sullivan and Chanel Harris-Tavita are the halves combination, and they've won, I think, 4 out of their past 5 matches when they've been a combination as well. Therefore, Bunty Afoa and Chad Townsend are out of the Warriors side as well. And also Matt Lodge has a judicial hearing tonight or tomorrow night, so watch this space on Matt Lodge as well. Titans come Sunday afternoon might have too much to play for and might be able to win by that 24-30 point margin against the Warriors. But once again, Warriors always make it hard for the Gold Coast. This is almost their second home away from home before the pandemic struck, and they were marooned here in Australia since last year. Yeah, Titans. I'm going to tip the Titans, but I don't know. I think I'll say 13 plus, but I still don't think it'll be enough to change that for and against and get them into the top 8. It's such a fascinating ride this weekend. And in the final game of the regular home and away season, the West Tigers host the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs from Moreton Daily Stadium up in Redcliffe. I'll tell you what, if the organisers of the NRL draw had their time over again, they wouldn't have selected this match as the final game of the year. It's like someone giving me a bowl of fruit for dessert. You can take that back, please. About 5 weeks ago, I said that I'm not going to tip the West Tigers for the rest of the year. I've kept that promise. I'm going to keep that promise. And I'm going to tip the Bulldogs to get their 3rd win of season 2021. Ladies and gents, that's it for me this weekend. If you're new around these parts, I hope I can convince you to like the content and subscribe to the channel. And if you are a regular around these parts, thank you so much for the continued support. It's the last time I'm cheering on the Cowboys this week, and this season has come and gone by so quickly. And I'll be giving it you all this Saturday. So enjoy the footy, and I'll see you all next week. Go Cowboys.